Hello and welcome to this cast of this pretty high OS Glitters lobby. We're going to focus in on one particular player here, which is Hayaji, and basically it's a how-to on how to conduct this position here, which I guess is the anti-canyon position, and we're over here the adversary in the Noob position because I'm a lonely level 16 in this high OS lobby, so we're just going to see what we can do. Quite often in off-peak times you don't get this sort of OS lobby to playing, so I'm quite happy today. I'm backed by Concept Chaos. We've got Fight War, who's been putting in a few hard games I've noticed that I've been playing against at all hours, so good on your Fight War. Very cool name too. I don't know if that's off Warhammer with the Skaven, Fight War. I think it's from there. We've got over here Matt Blader, which is a really cool name. I've noticed Matt Blader around. I noticed Major Noob usually trying to throw in the towel. So that's on our side. Random Variable, I wouldn't know who that is. Sorry, Random Variable, you're probably quite well known. Over here we've got Emlem, apparently quite the good Canyon player. So we might flick over to Emlem and see how they're going. And backed up by Cookie Burger. I don't know what that name is. It's a little bit long. And most notably we've got Marco here. Anyone from Smile is generally a pain in the butt. And we've got Docs, I recognise Docs, also a very good gamer. And we've got Gamer himself, the very good gamer. So, if you can't tell by the roster of who we're playing against, yeah, we're in for a tough game. But I can tell you one thing, it's going to be a long game, which is not typical for high OS lobbies. I've spent the last 2 games, I'm not going to lie, just getting absolutely rolled in Canyon. So I'm going with bots just to try and survive in these early stages and try and put the other team on the back foot. So I've got some early aggression, I wandered out, I pulled back a little bit, but fortunately I'm actually joined by Concept Chaos, who's also doing a bit of a push, so that gives me hope and I come back out again. It's always nice when the player here actually plays front and doesn't think themselves above such duties. In higher OS games, I think that pretty much always happens, but I've been surprised, actually. I've been surprised quite often. I happen to be in the lobby where I'm the only one to get Canyon that's producing units. So over here, not a great attack from me. I've just sort of poked forward and one pawn has stopped my little tick push. So I'm running back with tail between my legs. Out of the 2, I still think, although pawns have got a buff, I think grunts are the better unit and I feel better using them. To be honest with you, I'm just out here sort of creating a little bit of pressure more than anything and taking easy targets like that laser tower and trying to run away again. Also, one thing, they look super cute pawns. I like the giant pawn experimental unit. I think it's the best. So Hayaji, despite getting pushed back on, and we see some very good frontline play here from Concept Chaos, getting these rocket bots up to the line super early, continues to always put down a laser tower no matter what, and repair it and then build another one. Very dedicated, absolutely maxing out on units, and has most of the mexes up by the 5-minute stage. We see energy storage as well, so can comfortably use the D-gun multiple times. A very good position to hold early in the game is to move your rocket bots to this position here. Of course, everyone knows how good rocket bots are. Massive value for money. I've got a bit more of a mixed force following some advice I've been getting. I'm not sold on it. I think in this early game, perhaps just rocket bots before getting any sort of maces. Just for these lasers. Even the twin guard, we can sit in the low damage area and peg away at it. If you see here, I've got a couple of lasers here, but really the game I'm playing is an overreaction to everything because I'm a little bit worried about getting rolled all the time. So I'm always a little bit more defensive than I ought to be with my units. In saying that, I'm trying to pull forward sort of minimally to create this illusion of pressure. We're going to see how Hayaji deals with this. Now, one thing Hayaji does very soon is comes around the side and splits the forces. Just seeking to take advantage of anything possible and still going full baller with units. This Warden is up before the 8-minute mark, and now finally we see a construction turret go down. Also see a Thistle here. And I found the Twin Guard an interesting choice. We'll see a couple more of those out of Hayaji. Not the worst defensive unit in the game. Not the best either, I guess. It's got a bad rap, but Hayaji uses them, so there you go. We've got a breakthrough of ticks here. Going to get quickly shut down, I believe, but maybe not. Oh, this is actually rather nasty. So really just aiming at the mexes, which is not a bad trade. Actually took down that pawn quite nicely. Wow. They all blow up on the windmill. They're just exploding. The windmills didn't trigger off, it just blew up the ticks. Yeah, and they get eaten up here. Oof. How annoying. It's always important to have the T1 lasers absolutely everywhere. And we see that from the Canyon, who's apparently a very good Canyon player, was said in the chat, so it must be true. We're seeing a mix of Wolverines and Lashes, which I agree is a fantastic combo. I think some very handy manual targeting is why Malem is got a reputation here for good Canyon play. See Major Noob doing the dance, but still getting caught out. Whoosh. I think Major Noob might go down here. Oh, that's very close. Just snuck behind a very sneaky defensive Dragon's Claw. For whatever reason, I think it was maybe greed. Matt Blader has come across the map to sit where Concept Chaos should be sitting. I guess this is a very much under pressure front line. Random variables doing an attempted suicide run. Didn't perhaps go to plan. And because of this extra pressure, I see Hayaji move up and contribute in this sort of empty zone, which is depleted of units. Now at this time, at around the 10-minute stage, Hayaji just sits there cloaked like a beast. And of course, while standing there, only takes 100 power. So if Hayaji's not moving around, it's actually quite affordable, even at this early stage where Hayaji only has 700 energy production. But we are seeing perhaps 2 energy storages, no 3, and even more going down to account for basically this commander being cloaked as long as possible and putting down many a D-gun. Gives me a little bit of faith that in fact my unit mix is pretty good. I came up with this myself, and to see Malem use it quite sufficiently. The only difference is threading in brutes, whereas I put in just pounders. Using everything Malem. Very mean defensive line here. Now I wish I had, going back the sort of game it is and moving forward with bots, I might just invest more so into rocket bots, simply because the amount of static defenses seems to just be overwhelming, which the T1 rocket bots excel against. So we come down with these ticks, for instance. I'm starting my attack. The ticks just get taken down so fast by those beam lasers, so do the grunts. They all have to get close in, right? And these guys are always hovering around their defensive line. And the only guys that are really doing the damage, to be honest with you, are the Rocketeers, and able to sort of stand off and, you know, skirmish. Maces and Thugs have their place, don't worry about that, but just my preference, I think, going forward with bots. My preference is actually vehicles, honestly, doing what Malem's plays. We can see here I'm putting up a gauntlet to try and push back on the base here, maybe help out over here. I also think here would have been a really good position. I find it funny actually, Hayaji's is just like here minute after minute after minute, not getting any reclaim, just very patiently waiting for me to make a mistake. I'm not doing it, I'm not pushing out. And look, why would I? This is something I do believe when you're a Canyon player, is yes, it's good to put pressure on the units, do it out here if you want to create pressure. Over here is the most porcupine area possible, because you're coming out of a very narrow gap into a very wide gap, and they've got every advantage possible, including knowing where to put their commander. Over here we see Major Noob do exactly the same thing. In fact, I'd almost call this a meta play, because I'm seeing this just about every game now. Smile Marco is just owning the land with these Sheldons, which you would expect. Sheldons, when they come out for a player, is always a really good time at that 15-minute stage. So we're going to see now the T1 versus Spiders. Does a fine job. Scares them away completely, the Recluse. So some very accurate fire. We're seeing 10 Wolverines. I would agree, 10 Wolverines tends to have that critical amount of artillery fire, which can just pop units. It's very scary. Okay, so the Spiders are trying this side. Not wasting any time at all in getting over and bracing for an attack. Lem's trying to reposition as fast as possible. The thing is, you don't really want to allow these spiders to cross this area. That's where you want to catch them on a timing wise. Mlem's just been a little bit conservative, building this pit bull and standing back a bit. And we see perhaps the reason why. There's fat boys coming through as well, so big bad units coming through. Here I'm starting to get a little bit of fire, so what's happened is Tayaji is graduated out of bots and has reclaimed that and moved on to vehicle play, so tier 1.5. And we're starting to see now some shell shockers or wolverines. Also we see this T2 just get built actually, a negotiator. So we're a little bit more advanced than that. I've been able to tank these wolverine hits. I cannot tank on the top this negotiator rocket. It's quite nasty, a couple of them. Also, this is a really good position to fire the rockets from because we can't sort of direct fire back here at all, even if I had it. Really out of the line of sight. Sneaky attack happens from blue, always seeking to exploit. Fortunately, we have some hounds up and we have a air player which is super on the ball. At this time, Tech's actually having to donate snipers to random variable, just to sort of fight back on the Sheldons and the general way too forward static defences here. The random variable doesn't have any energy. Oh, disaster in the canyon. So that fat boy attack, sorry I didn't cover it, that was very effective. Oh dear. Now Hayaji's shown why the positioning is so good here by turning this T2 Mex into an advanced exploiter. Look at the range on this bad boy. Absolutely insane, and the rate of fire. It's pretty much a mammoth that's stationary. That's pretty cool, got a lot of hit points. Hard for me to take it down. Also got this distributed construction turret repair. Lastly, we've got this catalyst coming up. So this is a very dangerous front line to be sure, and it's going to disallow a huge area to me. The only way I could have pushed back on this, and this is why I'm a fan of vehicles, right? Really, Armada bots don't have the capability, is something like a Tremor. And then I'd be getting sniper fire from what? The negotiators. So I actually see this small push forward trying to create some pressure, and certainly has an easy objective here, which is my advanced metal extractor over there. It's going to go down really quickly. I like this just because it's such a small contribution of metal. It's only 1400 metal, right? It's not that much to write off. And what we've also got is these forces over here can counterattack. Now, if they're smarter, they might have actually brought them over here to cut me off a little bit quicker. I'm seeing how bad that advanced metal extractor is for me, and I'm taking right the back off. So it really outclasses my hounds, unfortunately, which I was expecting to be able to create trouble on this front line. I can't actually do it because of that. Clicking away here at the tigers, but they come out of it all ready for a repair. So it's a good emergency reaction force. Over my side, I'm creating this front line because my job, right, is to defend the canyon, and we're seeing all this impossible breakthrough area here, so we might as well set back here in the super defensible line for us and at least defend the canyon. Someone does wonder why they have 3 fusions, 1 advanced converter, so a little bit of an oopsie here from Cookie Bringer. So talk about Porcupine defense, we've got this T2 lab up front, we've got these cloakable fusion reactors, all these distributed construction turrets. This is excellent and allows all this room to build further eco actually. I'd be going crazy scaling in Hiaje's position, and we're seeing Hiaje just do that. Starting up with a small turret farm down here. Also we've got Gamer, which games, and he's putting down massive defences. Beam lasers, we see a couple of plasma artilleries come up and some scorpions. Top it all off, has this patrolling spam. Now we're going to see this again and again from Fight War. Very smart, lethal little attacks, taking down, I think, the tactical missile launchers. Really, Fight War does not like the tactical missile launchers, and let's see why that's the case. This tactical missile launchers coming in and bam. Takes down our cloaking ability. I've built this just outside the tactical missile launcher range, my hero pulsar, but the pit bulls are just going to have to tank some shots. Okay, so we've got a marauder push from our guys. Mlem showing the bona fides of being a good defender commander. Look at that, just sniping them at the end. Real, pretty much single-handedly takes down the Marauder forces. I don't know. I feel funny about Marauders. They've got their place, don't worry about that, but I find Canyon really hard to attack with them at times, thanks to players like Mlem. Able to just somehow sniper that D-gun like crazy. So that was an unfortunate push, and I think potentially could have won us the game, and we lost it there. Hayaji at this time is really starting up with this bloody grunt spam. It's crazy. And we can see the negotiators just sniping my pit bulls, unfortunately, and not leaving a lot of wreckage either, as they're exposed while they're firing. And even the wreckage is getting taken out and turned into nothing. My quick response force of hounds moves in and somehow gets sniped by the negotiators, so there you go. Doesn't do the job. Now the only thing is perhaps welders in this position might have been a better play alongside the snipers. Fortunately, we've got a giant spider coming from Concept Chaos to be the tank. Even though I did have to start attacking with my snipers, I just had, you know, sort of nothing else. So next we see Major Noob here with Razorbacks. The Canyon is under pressure, but we see T3 also from Mako, which seems to be doing everything for the team somehow. I think also relying on a hero pulsar to hold the front line. Very quiet front line for Mako actually. So able to support just in time. I'm a firm believer now, I'm playing a few of these games, is attacking with Razorbacks, Marauders in tandem with another player is probably needed, and following it up with a heap of spam at around this time. And you can see that could have possibly actually broken through. In the end, the Razorbacks alone just aren't enough, even well microed. Though they'll certainly trade okay, so no huge loss. Fight Wars coming in with the bombers. I don't necessarily agree with this, although it does disrupt the tactical missile. It's a 5-to-1 trade, because Fight War can't retain any of those bombers metal, whereas this catalyst wreckage, half it can still be recovered. So maybe not 5-to-1, maybe 2-to-1 or something is the trade. So not the worst. But as more air defences go up, the more bombers need to attack at once, and that trade just gets worse and worse. Okay, so the bluff is being called, and all these grunts are moving forward. I don't know what happened to this headless hero pulsar. It's just sort of like turtled away. Is this some sort of defect? Or can you hide the pulsar? I'm intrigued. It's going to survive another day as well, despite all the starlight pressure. No, there we go. I think its head got chopped off. Is that even an option, is it? I've got no idea. I suppose you can turn it off and maybe it makes it tank more. So finally the spam's coming through to try and exploit any gaps. Now it would have been good before, and we can see an open gap here, which eventually is actually being taken. So we're doing a little bit better in our canyon than this canyon is, for sure. But just for some reason, it just can't break through. Hayaji's got quite a lot of AA here now, but these tactical defences, because they're so far forward, they are exposed to air bombing. But as we can see, gets replaced right away, because just too important to Hayaji's strategy here of applying pressure. And despite applying pressure, right, we're seeing this scaling economy. Now I want to stop here just for a moment so we can actually count things. We see 2 aphises, I think 4 reactors, so this is a 3 aphis economy. This is like something like Eco would have, honestly. We just don't see perhaps enough energy converters to really convert this into an Eco-like economy, so a little bit behind. But otherwise, this has been one of the cheapest pressure I've ever seen, and it's holding off 2 players bottling this up. The trade is about 1-to-1, which is absolutely fine, and is one of the highest damages in the game on the opposition team. And really there's nothing I can do about it. I feel helpless against this, with my T2 Armada bots anyway. Now because I've overbuilt and not necessarily scaled, at the same time I've been trying to get snipers out, I've been trying to get welders out, I'm just worried about getting rolled. I'm being a dutiful front. I'm not necessarily scaling at the same pace, but I'm starting to make up for lost time now, getting my reactor economy up. What you've also got to keep in mind with Hayaji is just taking this mechs alone is an extra 13 metal. It's a massive advantage. So one thing I also noticed about Marco's play style is Marco goes wherever I guess there's a perceived weak spot. He doesn't just sit here and waste away on the line. Will in fact cover it with T1. This canyon just keeps on getting hit time after time again. Even Doxed is joining the fun now, but as Eco you'd expect Eco to pick up the slack. One Titan isn't enough, I like to attack with two. Makes all the difference in the world. This is a hardcore force. A lot of T3. There's no pushing through this. Oh, we see the second Titan come down now. I guess why maybe Major Noob is applying all this pressure is before this commander gets up, but we can see it getting up now, so the canyon is now defended. Major Noob 1-to-1 and wants to take down all the T3. It's actually pretty cool. Wow! Does sacrifice himself, but took down a lot of units. Also, this about Major Noob has made a massive impact on the game, has done most of the damage in the team by far. Funnily enough, with Hayagi at the present time, is we're seeing, I suppose, a reaction to some T3 come through, is to try and build some defences, try and build some T3 themselves, bring up these vanguards to start hassling us, okay? So it's not building eco all the time, it's building things into a timing. Personally, if I was Hayagi, the only difference is perhaps I would have cleared all this away or thought about this in advance. I guess it can be hard, but put my massive turret forest here and just start scaling like crazy at this time and continue to sort of annoy me with catalysts and that. The thing about vanguards, they're great, I love them, but against a defensive position, it's like, of course I'm going to build shields. Of course, we see Hayagi has an answer for that, and I can build vanguards of my own too. So every response is going to have a counter response. Someone told me in the comment section though, and it's a good way to think about what Hayagi is doing here, and then it makes perfect sense, because we do actually see a third eco going down. It makes perfect sense is for every unit you have, as long as you're immediately using them, it's like also an investment in your economy because it's making the other players invest in their economy in units. So if you're getting like, let's say, decent damage efficiency or really good pressure from these units, then it's actually a better ROI almost than just scaling up your economy. And that's the way I suppose you want to think is, does this tactical missile launcher create a heap of pressure? Yes. Does this bot lab at minus 1.7 metal a second create a heap of pressure? Yes, it does. Do these vanguards create a heap of bloody pressure? Of course. I'm having to build a 3000. Geez, the Armada one's a lot cheaper. Okay, 3000 metal plasma deflector or shield. Another good thing about this spot here is, I suppose all of these players, we've got about 4 long-range AA shooting all the way up to here. It's really quite a long coverage. The more I play the game, the more I actually use long-range AA because I just see how good they are and how many kills they get. And we can see I'm building one here, just about the front of the line. I've already got one over here, not ideally positioned. I think it should have been more central. So since that hero pulsar went down, we see many hero pulsars now, 7. Mlem has got 2 commanders, one on either side. How sneaky is that? Just cloaked, waiting there for T3s. One mistake I do is put my commander here and has to walk all the distance to get to any sort of T3 attack. I at least should have my commander maybe sitting here cloaked, well out of the way of any sort of radar, maybe hiding behind a sneaky peak also. Look at that, though we're seeing an attack ground go into this likely position. So yeah, Hayagi's thinking of everything. We see this catalyst attack come out of the canyon. That's what I love from canyon. I just wish for this game I'd played Cortex vehicles or had a Cortex bot, because these catalysts, look at this. I could have rickrolled Hayagi's base so hard. Between tremors and catalysts. Holy hell. Lem's just ready to stop this T3 push in a moment. Beautiful. So they're all confident now. They're all like, yeah, there's no more commander. Oh no, this is going to be too brutal to watch. No! Lem! Two-star General Blem. Absolutely gained. Hell. Oh, that would hurt, Major Noob. Look, there's nothing you can do about that. I mean, apart from, I guess... Yeah, resign. Resign. That's instant morale loss once you saw that happen. And you'd have to think in such a close game, maybe it is all over from that one action blow. But we can see that it's a one-to-one damage. Everything's very one-to-one in damage dealt, damage received. Even the eco is absolutely the same. We've actually got the slight advantage, which is funny because we're pushed back further. And we're all shielded up. So I think in effect we've got a lot less perhaps defences and units out just because of all the shields and extra eco we're having to build. Concept Chaos's plasma cannons here are getting just AMP'd like crazy. We don't have any Ragnarok in this game, it's been disabled, thank God. I think it's way OP by the way. I think it needs to be disabled every game till it's fixed. And on this side we're seeing lots of plasma cannons as well, and that's caused us to shield up so much because it's caused a lot of damage with the shots bouncing off the front line shields. You can see that ends up exploding there. So it's just slowly chipping away at our backline. We've shielded up also. Hayaji's finally grown sick of standing the Pillars of Doom and is actually around here to provide some repair or something. I think Hayaji should have stayed there though, because look, could have taken down a tasty demon. Concept Chaos now is throwing demons at this. I mean, it's just really the wrong thing to do, I guess. Not being too big a critique, because you need to attack in some ways, but it's just not effective against this advanced exploiter and the scorpions and what have you that's here. Almost takes it down though. But a catalyst, boy, that would have taken this down. Also would have been able to fire back against these annoying vanguards. So I've seen a really close battle up to now, but we're definitely on the back foot, perhaps irretrievably so. Major Noob had the economy basically based around getting those titans out and doesn't really have the scaled economy at all. I wonder why he's got so much metal. I can't work out what Major Noob's been doing. I guess maybe we see some obliterated structures, that's why. I've got my snipers, I've got my pit bulls, I've got my shields, bro. I'm just hero pulsar. I am happy all day to just camp this out, which is not, of course, the best strategy, but I am scaling in the background. It's not like I'm just sucking my thumb. I'm actually doing something as well, and we can start to see an actual economy take form. It's not near where Hayaji's is, and I'm starting to build these vanguards, which is my favourite in the cannon. This is the whole reason I went Armada. Excellent, excellent T3 unit. And less so for them because they're attacking into a shielded position, but for us we can sneak out of these shields and I can snipe them back and I can push back on any T3 that comes through this base. Also we can hop outside here and pressure this whole lane. It's like an even better movable gauntlet. Yeah, we're going to see Hayaji's vanguard go down here. We've got some big boys here from Hayaji now, finally starting to get a decent amounts of units because we just see this insane scaling now at over 300 metal a second. Not the most insane, but considering that front, it's pretty good. Almost catching up to Concept Chaos. So combined, we well outweigh what Hayaji's doing, but Hayaji's just holding us off easily. I'm not sure if Demon's the best attacking unit in this situation. They just haven't got the hit points. What I've found with demons, and it's in another Glitters game, is they're excellent when they're working the max range, see around here, and they're able to just stand off even other T3 units. They can get at that funny angle. Even here we can see it happen, right? They can just sort of work at them, although I'm not sure they're close enough. Okay, Titans well outplay the demon. Let's say they're good against Razorbacks and leave it at that, okay? Look at this, this is hopeless. Oh, and they're so expensive. I think the giant spiders would have been better here. So Marco has just really doubled down with the shivers, got about 50 of them. We see some juggernauts coming out from Doxed. Yeah, this isn't looking good. Everyone's sort of attacking at once. I wonder if these guys are on Discord. I guess everyone's reading the map and aligning their attacks. I've got my 3 miserly vanguards come over to help. Blem's canyon defense is back with the 2 commanders. I think Major Noob's just given up attacking the canyon for now. Holy crap. So the Juggernauts couldn't quite, I don't think, contest the Hero Pulsar. I never understand the grouping of Juggernauts like this. I guess it helps them repair up or something. All's going to happen is they're going to all suffer this guy's imminent death. Yeah, and there goes all the Lazarus. Crazy. So the good thing about the EMP on the Thor is being able to stop these shivers from attacking coherently. I don't know, I feel if the Juggernauts had just attacked in a line and without stopping, they would have gone much better here, rather than fiddling around and being so grouped up. Jug death ball. So over this side, I actually missed it because I was over the other end of the map. We had those 4 Titans come in and around our defense, sort of. Eventually got taken off, but one of them died here and took down my energy converters, and now I've got to build them back up, so great. They do have quite the range of attack. I think we just got the Thor out a little bit late, because I had a Thor over here. If I just would have had it out a little bit earlier, I would have had the EMP missile up, so that was a damn it moment. To me, the Thor, I'm changing my view on it. I think it's a really good unit. Not only does it tank like crazy, that EMP missile just absolutely changes the game. And sometimes you just need a big old tank up the front. The DPS, I mean, it's not great, but it's still 1000 DPS, so... If we compare it to the Juggernaut, it just doesn't feel the same. Actually, it's only 1/3 the cost of the Jug. I had no idea. The Juggernaut gives energy? What the hell? A very bizarre unit. But we can see now in Canyon we're super safe. But Malem just showing us all you need is 2 commanders, bro. Oh, and a behemoth. One thing that I am learning from Concept Chaos, as well as how to pre-plan a whole nuclear attack base, which is sort of cool, is building a massive heap of these. Now I know not the first player to do this. Drongo popularised it, is having 100 of these T1 construction bots. Look how quickly it builds things though. And this build power, right, it's only 11,000 or so metal to build this. In the late game, that's negligible. That's APHIS, right? If we go over to this couple of turret farms, well, that's even more metal. That's 14,000. So having this sort of adaptable build power, oh, it's so good. I don't know if it'll ever replace the turret farm, because these are definitely twice as efficient cost-wise. Maybe in the super early game, definitely not. But towards the end of the game, I do just wonder if just getting a 200 T1 constructors and building APHISes is better. Just the sheer fact you can fit everything in them. You know, if you need some defences, you just go forward and you print them out and you bring your construction bots back. Only issue is you'd want them very well protected by air. Now, Hierarchy hasn't really had any setbacks, I don't think, so the eco has just continued to expand. We've seen, 10 APHIS, and that's enough for Hierarchy. That's all Hierarchy needs. I do wonder, though, because we see some energy converters and just some general misuse of the area, I just do wonder if Hierarchy had gone crazy with scaling, we might have actually been blown up at this point. Although the pressure has been nasty, for sure. Overall, I don't know. I would just wonder if scaling would have been a better use of resources rather than units. Little did Hierarchy know, I just would have sat here anyway and defended. Oh, this is crazy. So there's a battalion of defensive dragons. They just eat up AA like it's nothing. The defensive dragon's actually a really good tactic. Super mobile. They're not the best pound for pound unit, but 15 of them, damn. That's got some momentum. So we're definitely on the back foot for a number of reasons. But it's not from canyon falling, you know? But in saying that, we're not able to strike out either thanks to Hayaji's constant pressure. We're still seeing no difference in the economy, which is bizarre. Despite the fact we're losing. I'm not sure what our front line's doing. I guess we're just losing the battles. I think what's happening, that's what's happened. So EMPs have been hitting our front line, followed up by nukes. So they're getting rid of our anti-nukes. So that's a learning from this game, have distributed anti-nukes. We can see my back line here of Concept Chaos doing that. Although sort of grouping them together, which isn't quite right. This attack from Hierarchy primarily, although joined in with Gamer, is gonna, put us under the pump. Behemoths are nasty. Now if I was positioned here at this time, magically I would have been able to take down these behemoths easily. I wasn't, so my bad. In saying that, we're seeing Hayaji really get rid of this blank spot. So nothing's short in war. We're coming up to sneak anyway, and I get blown up. Of course. This is why I like Thors, right? In the midst of a T3 battle, 9 or 10 of them just stay there and don't die. Even against behemoths, takes forever. Very slowly the health drop of the behemoth. It's got so much health. Oh, look at this! Flight of the Valkyries. I don't really understand the methodology here for attacking so hard. I guess really just hates Hayaji's defences, which I do too. I think it's just flowing through to fight war. It's like, fight war! Got to kill. We see the limits of the dragons there, which is against all these fighters. Yeah, it's a graveyard. Concept Chaos is still here, got a couple of freshly minted jugs. My build power dies. And these bulwarks are going to save the day. A little bit of the issue of being this front canyon, it's a bit of a punching bag spot. I think it's game all over. Eventually we broke. And you know what? I'm just impressed. Despite the stats, the southern team just played a lot better in the end through the late T3. Even if you're a high OS player, right, you're not necessarily a high OS player when it comes to this stage of the game. We saw what Major Noob, despite his name was not a Major Noob, was having a major impact on the game actually. But just running into those commanders that could have all been mitigated. The EMP strikes followed by nukes could have been mitigated. Random variable. Efficient use of resources, I thought done quite well and got hit again and again and again and held down that front line, but really didn't scale enough and didn't have enough defences at times, and so had to be covered. And whenever you create a gap like that, it sort of alleviates pressure on the enemy. So that's why we saw that. On the other side, where we see some of these late game skill issues, we haven't really seen anything but just relentless pressure from Hayaji. My only critique is they should have scaled more and then just had a sort of like finisher attack with the behemoths and etc. just to blow through our massive porcupine. I think perhaps not scouting it enough. It was just locked into the role of the anti-canyon, right? Rather than bottling us up and just coming around here and spending all the units here. Could have finished the game actually sooner. All this area here could have just been a massive scaling opportunity. And it does get to that stage with scaling, you don't realise how ridiculous it is. But if you put a 2 turret farms right up here, right, and just build like crazy, holy moly, are you going to get some metal? And that's going to all come back to you in 5 minutes time. So that's always a thought. When the game sort of bogs down, scaling is probably a lot more efficient. But in saying that, up to the sort of 30-minute stage, you can follow what Hayaji does to a T, and you can be the best anti-canyon player in the world of bottling up a somewhat okay canyon anyway. So I really enjoyed playing this game. This is probably my first high lobby long game playthrough. It certainly showed me that there's not a lot of difference in the end game between noobs and expert players, apart from the fact that the way EMPs are used actually. That was the eye-opener for me, how EMPs and nukes were used. But for every good play we've seen, we've also seen these plays which are super amateurish at times, and that's just going to happen. Not every attack's going to look great. It's always easier to defend, and that needs to be taken into account too. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Leave a comment if you want to let me know anything. Otherwise, send me a like if you could, and subscribe to the channel. See you next video.